All right, let me call to order the November 2021 Southbury Zoning Commission meeting. Let's all stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, seating of alternates, I guess I'll seat J for Mr. Vacancy. Public hearings. Application 21-295Z, PDD number 8, Regency Center, 775 Main Street South. Applying for a modification of detailed plans under 12.5.2.B II and text amendment number 17 for redesign signing package under PDD regulation 2.3.7, signs to allow for modification to signage PDD regulations.
So we only have 6 copies in hand. Might leave us at 1 to test it. I've seen it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Christina Gordon. I'm here representing Frederick William Honk Architect on behalf of Regency Centers for the Southbury Green property. We're here to amend our PDD number 8 text and detailed plans. What's been distributed before you are revised materials since we've appeared before the planning board on 2 appearances, last night being the latest. The yellow text is revisions from the first appearance, and the blue highlighted text is 1 additional revision post last night's hearing. So the intent of our application is to revise the signage criteria for the PDD number 8 at Southbury Green with the premise to make the signage criteria concise and well-defined for both applicants and town staff, as well as ownership, and to ensure that it aligns with town standards and also facilitates flexibility for the evolution of which is the commercial shopping center. We essentially decided to remove all of the existing signage criteria text rather than trying to manipulate it, and reorganized and redefined the criteria into 5 categories, which are outlined A through E. The allowable monument signage, signage locations, allowable signage area, allowable number of signs, and lastly E, which is signage type, appearance, and character requirements. The proposal is essentially that the landlord or Regency Centers would be tasked with reviewing signage and ensuring conformance to the criteria as defined before it ever hits the zoning department for an applicant to apply for a signage zoning permit. In the description of process outlined in the first paragraph of 2.37, it details the type of documentation required and also goes on to describe a letter that an applicant has to come to zoning with, issued by Regency Centers, essentially an affidavit of sorts saying Regency Centers ensures it's, to their knowledge, conforming, and the tenant has approval to seek out a permit from the zoning department. So that's an additional sort of piece of documentation to complete their application. I'm happy to run through all of the different criteria one by one, but the diagram here that is also described in text outlines for the various buildings A through E, the facades in which we are proposing signage be permitted by right. And the other biggest deviation, I suppose, from the original PDD is that, again, by right, tenants may have two signs, prominent or permanent wall signs, in addition to blade signs underneath canopies where applicable, and then there's secondary signage for shipping access doors, very similar to Regulation 10 of the Southbury zoning regulations. Are there any questions? I'm sure there are many.
Would you repeat that, please, about blade signs?
Yes, I think actually the language we use, forgive me, is marquee sign. So the shopping center has multiple buildings that have overhangs or colonnades as part of the architectural feature, and under those colonnades are pedestrian-only signs or marquee signs, which are very well defined in terms of their size of lettering and limitations in section DI, which I think for you will be on the third page. So those are pedestrian-only signs, of which there are several located at the plaza currently. So the clarification is that in addition to those, tenants may have two signs.
Excuse me.
Yes.
For clarification, the terminology blade sign notwithstanding, these are face-mounted signs, not projecting out from the building?
The blade sign would be a projecting sign, or the marquee sign, but the two permitted signs are in fact non-projecting wall-applied signs.
Sorry. Liz Kelly with Regency Centers. Maybe I can clarify. So when you walk on the sidewalk, if you look up over, like near their doors, there's a lot of times a sign that's about this big, it's usually like a flat sign, and it has their name. So when you're walking on the sidewalk, you know, oh, up there is where the Chico's is when you're on the sidewalk, because you can't see the building sign, right? So it's those little flat ones, they do project out perpendicular to the building, but maybe that will help you picture it. So we call those under canopy signs, blade signs, I forget the terminology in this particular document, but
Marquee sign.
marquee signs, but they're small pedestrian signs for when you're under the canopy.
They're hanging from the ceiling.
Sheet 4
I-
here
in this
gives
one-
an example.
Yes, in this
Yeah,
particular,
okay.
they can come from the wall, they can come from the ceiling, there's
In this
different
case, yeah,
applications.
okay.
Depends on the building, the shopping center. Maybe that
Is
helps.
this loft sign an existing sign, or is this something?
These are existing signs. Everything in this packet is existing signage taken as of a few days ago.
Does anybody have any other comments? Ty, do you wanna, give us an overview of your review and/or?
Sure, the way I tackled this was with that chart that I included in easier way for me, I compared the current to the proposed, to kind of give you an idea of how much is being changed and what is being changed, but, as I wrote in the review, I mean, I really do think that this is something that is needed. The landscape for retail is changing drastically right now, and plazas are just becoming desolate, so it's required that they change their space. It's no longer the space that they have is existing. They're knocking walls down and making bigger, making smaller to accommodate their new retailers. And currently, the way this was laid out was for a cookie cutter kind of thing. So, because it's no longer like that anymore, the signs have gotten out of control, and it's very hard to even determine, based on the regulations that existed 20 years ago, whether an applicant is in compliance. So the way that they've gone about it is really great as far as letting Regency have the first shot at reviewing and dealing with their tenants themselves, rather than the land use office being the go-between between, you know, what. And also, because it's based on the linear feet, and it's almost impossible for us to determine that as well, I think it's gonna work out really, really good, and I think that it's something that, can't be avoided. Things have changed.
So as I understand it, everything will go before Regency before it even comes before us, so that everyone is on the same page. Got it, okay.
That's correct.
So I guess what I hear from you, Ty, is you approve of this whole concept.
Well, yes, because it will make everything much more consistent in
Yeah.
the long run and easier to approve.
We've always had a
and-
problem with signs,
Exactly.
not just
and-
here, but other places.
Yeah, yeah, and you don't wanna deter retailers from coming in and having an abandoned plaza
Right.
because you refuse to change with the times. Things are not what they used to be.
Okay, so basically, should we read this into the record? Your report, or just make it part of the record?
Not mine, but you do need to acknowledge planning's
Planning,
referral,
yes, I
yeah.
didn't realize that. All right. Let's read into the record planning's referral to us. Susan, do you have that?
Would you like me to read that? Okay. November 10, 2021, to Southbury Zoning Commission from Southbury Planning Commission, RE 8-3A-B, referral PDD number 8, revision to general plan and text and modification of detailed plans, Southbury Green, 775, Main Street South, PDD regulation for sign package, amendment number 17. The applicant is requesting approval for the modification of detailed plans and text amendment for PDD number 8 regarding the PDD regulation for signage. Pursuant to section 12.5.2 of the zoning regulations, the Planning Commission has considered the modification to the detailed plans that shows allowable locations for signage on the building throughout the plaza. This was accomplished by creating colored band around each building showing the exact location in which signs would be permitted on each building. Further, it specified that signage should only be allowed on opaque surfaces, and there shall be a maximum of 2 building signs per tenant. Amending the sign package requires a text amendment to PDD regulation. The new regulation states that tenants will be allowed 1 square foot of signage per each lineal foot of the storefront rented. However, signs shall not be less than 15 square feet, nor more than 48 square feet. The new regulations prohibits certain types of signage, such as cabinet signs. It also specifies that the landlord needs to approve all proposed signage before the application is submitted to the town. The Planning Commission also recommended that the new text specify the documents and information that are required by the town to accompany the application for a new sign. The Planning Commission would prefer that the Type B conditions explain more fully in PDD regulation. They are depicted clearly on the detailed plans, however, they need to be comprehensible in the text as well. The text amendment clarifies that each tenant will be allowed 2 building signs on the activated facade showing in the detailed plans, and 1 under the canopy sign. The text amendment also clearly explains the allowable size of each sign based on the size of the rented space. The size of the letters and the logos for each sign is stated unambiguously in the text amendment, as it is allowable letter size for under the canopy signs. The Planning Commission supports the rewording of the PDD regulation to allow for a more comprehensive, readable, and enforceable PDD regulation, which is the goal of this application. The Planning Commission also requested that the text show consistency with the Plan of Conservation and Development, of which the applicant has agreed to amend. For all information on recommendations from the Planning Commission to the Zoning Commission regarding the text amendment to the PDD regulation for signage at this plaza, please refer to the following document: Sign Criteria Draft RO2, Town Text Only with Highlights. Therefore, at the meeting on November 9, 2021, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to provide a positive referral to the Zoning Commission regarding the modification to detailed plans and text amendment. The detailed plan modifications for PDD number 8 are supported with the following recommendations. 1, approval was granted for the amendments to the PDD regulation. 2, approval was granted for the proposed modification to detailed plans. Number 3, 4 sets of the final plan should be submitted for signature to the Chairman of the Zoning Commission, and this was submitted by the Planning Commission Chairman, Roger Tirdo.
Thank you, Susan. In this letter, or this memo, Planning Commission mentions 2 items. The Planning Commission would prefer that the Type B conditions explain more fully in the PDD regulation. Hasn't it? Okay, and the same
Okay.
for the next item. The Planning Commission also requested the text show consistency with the Plan of Conservation and Development.
That was just last night. Was that done now?
It is the teal highlighted text in what was distributed this evening.
So I'll take care of it. All right,
Just now.
that's fine. All right, any other comments from
Okay.
the commissioners? All right, since it's a public hearing, let me open it up to the public for any commentary. Anybody wishes to come forth and have something to say about this amendment, please come forth now. Nobody?
Nobody?
I didn't think anybody would, but you have to ask the question. All right, with that said, then, any other?
Okay. You want to
do
move forward
have,
with the resolution?
Well, let's close the public hearing first.
Close public hearing.
So do I hear a motion to close? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any further discussion? Fine,
Thank you.
we're closed. Let's, we work on this right now, do it. Are we okay? General
Yeah.
discussion? It's up to us. You have any issues?
No, I think I'm assuming that this is also going to help set some precedents as we look at changes potentially that could come up at other shopping
I'm
centers
sure
and
it
things
will.
in town. So this is really very helpful, I think.
I'd love to see that.
resolution already put together by Ty. Susan, you wanna read that?
You want the resolution read?
Yeah.
Okay. Resolution application for modification of detailed plans and text amendment, number 17, PDD number 8, Southbury Green, 775 Main Street South, signage package, November 10, 2021. Whereas, on November 10, 2021, the zoning commission received and reviewed application number 21-295-Z from Southbury 84 Associates Limited Partnership, care of Regency Centers, applicant, and Christina Gordon of FWH Architect LLC agent, seeking modification of the detailed plans and a text amendment for 775 Main Street South, map number 30, block number 57, lot number 6, for signage throughout PDD number 8. Whereas the zoning commission has received and considered all of the oral testimony and documents presented at the above meeting. Whereas the original regulation pertaining to Plan Development District Number 8, effective September 17, 1990, allowed for signage throughout PDD Number 8. Whereas the Planning Commission was sent a referral from the Zoning Commission on October 14, 2021 regarding this application with the proposed amendments. Whereas the Planning Commission reviewed all submitted documents and heard oral testimony from the applicant. Whereas the Planning Commission found the proposed signage package in keeping with the overall PDD and the Plan of Conservation and Development. Whereas, as the regulatory held meeting November 9, 2021, the Planning Commission voted to send the Zoning Commission a positive referral for the proposed modification of detailed plans and text amendment. Whereas the Planning Commission replied to the Zoning Commission with a memo dated November 10, 2021, stating that the proposed signage package complied with the Plan of Conservation and Development. Whereas the Zoning Commission finds the proposed modifications of detailed plans and text amendment for signage throughout PDD number 8 as being in keeping with the overall plan for Southbury Green, Southbury zoning regulations, and as submitted. Now therefore, be it resolved, the Southbury Zoning Commission voted to approve the text amendment of PDD number 8 and modification of detailed plans, all fully detailed in the application. The text amendment and modifications of detailed plans are approved subject to the following administrative requirements. Submission of 4 sets of the revised PDD regulations. 4 sets of the final plans as revised shall be submitted with a signature block for the signature by the chairman of the Zoning Commission. Adopted at a regular meeting by the Zoning Commission held on November 10, 2021. Effective date of approval. Is that now?
Well, it will be.
It will be.
Anybody have any comments, issues, changes? So it's good to go. We'll hear a motion to approve the resolution for the approval of the changes to PDD number 8.
I move that we accept it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's approved as of time frame on this, right, time?
It'll
It's gotta be published?
It'll be published in 15 days after, that is the appeals period. The applicants will get letters directing them accordingly.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did a good job.
Yeah, it was a very professional presentation.
Second public hearing, application 21-300Z, PDD number 17, Heritage Center LLC, 464 Heritage Road, applying for a modification of detailed plans under 12.5.2 BII, text amendment number 17, to add a drinking water treatment building and related uses under PDD regulations.
Good evening. I'm Gail McTaggart from the law firm of Secor, Castaic, McPartland, and I represent Heritage Center LLC, the applicant. Just to start off with a housekeeping matter, We have provided into the record a letter from Beth Evans showing that there is no wetlands issues on this application, which you need for the detailed plan part of the application. So I wanted to make sure that the record reflects that that is part of the record. And I have with me here tonight Mark Broussard, who is architect and director of architecture and planning for Heritage Development Group, and also Dave Connors, who's a professional engineer, and he's the director of services and delivery with Connecticut Water. We had indicated to you prior to the public hearing that we would ask him to come and answer any questions that you had about the water treatment facility. So that's the purpose here. So this is an amendment to PDD number 17. It includes both there is a general plan amendment. We're adding updates to the plans that are listed in the text amendment for PDD number 17. And really, the main thing and the only thing that's happening here is to allow a water treatment, 2,700 square foot water treatment building to be placed on what is called Parcel 1 that Mark's gonna show you in more detail. There's a few other changes to the text amendment. We're simply housekeeping. At the very beginning of the PDD text, it had a list of uses. And then later on, it talked about, it relisted the permitted uses, and it left off a couple of things, so we stuck those in. They're already in there. It's just making sure that in both places, the uses that are actually on the property are included. So the new change is to add the water treatment facility, which is for the water company, which will be an easement instead of a lot revision. There's going to be an easement for the area, and it'll be a permanent easement to the water company. The water company will build the facility according to the plans that are approved as part of this application. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mark, and he can give you a lot more detail, and then we'll come back and we can look at the amendment and any other questions that you have. And I'll let David answer any of the questions you have on water treatment.
Just a quick overview of the parcel. As Gail said, this is parcel 1, part of the Heritage Center. It's a little over 7 acres. And what we're looking at is an easement of 126 feet by 110 feet to the Heritage Hills, to the Connecticut Water Company, with a proposed building of 60 by 45, 2,700 square feet. The easement parcel is roughly 0.3 acres. It's located to the southeast of parcel 1. There's a large-scale drawing down here. There will be, I'll pull that up in a second. So this will indicate some of the landscaping that will be around the building. There'll be perimeter buffer, adjustments to the parking area, and existing pine trees and hemlocks that are already there, screening the courtyard. Building F will remain. They're pretty good size, 20, 30 feet. Those are going to remain with additional plantings of arborvitae and other evergreen type shrubs that will be at the perimeter of the easement, and then also on the building foundation to soften the building as well. Building architecture will remain in character with the already established architecture for PDD 17, meaning the market building, which formerly housed the Heritage Deli, the new fish market in Oppenheimer, the office building, and the courtyard will pick up similar features. It's more so going to mimic with the architecture of the market building, which is shown right here, with some of the similar type features. False chimneys, and then picking up some of the stone detail at the perimeter and the base around the entire building that's on the courtyard residential structures, pulling everything together, all the architecture together. The the actual layout may vary depending on the equipment and the size of the equipment that needs to go into the building when it goes through the engineering process by the Connecticut board. Being that said, the fenestration on the building, other than the overhead door and the man door that will be facing opposite the courtyard, so the courtyard buildings here, the access of all vehicles, and the man door and the overhead door just will be opposite, facing north as opposed to the south side.
Is this behind the inn? Am I in the right,
It's
mentally in the right place?
actually not behind the inn, it's more behind building B, which is the office building.
Okay, I know what
If
you
you oriented it towards the.
So it's a little
the
farther
inn,
over.
It's,
Got it.
it's, yeah, it's to the southeast of the Heritage Hotel.
Okay.
Trying to think of anything else that, Dave will probably pick up on the process, but as we get into some of the fenestration and louvers may change based on the requirements of the equipment and the engineering again. If you have any questions on the site plan, the architecture,
Mark, you might want to mention also that there's going to be a very low intensity of employee use as
Yeah,
part of,
absolutely.
part of this, so we can talk about that and the parking that's associated with that.
so Dave can jump in at any time, or if you have any questions on the process, whether you have any questions regarding the site or the architecture of the building, please feel free.
You mentioned chemical storage. I don't know what chemicals you're talking about.
So these are all chemicals that are used in the treatment of water, so they're all NSF approved. They're chemicals that ostensibly are stored right now at the Well 1 building, which is adjacent to the clubhouse at the country club there. So there's really no difference between what we're storing there now and what we'll be storing here. The only main difference is that the process will have filtration and allow us to filter out some of the iron and manganese that's been in the water. Whereas now we just treat the water with chemicals, this facility will allow us to actually run that through a sand filter and remove that.
Other than when the generator, if it kicks on, will there be much noise emitted from the building?
No, there will not be really any noise. It's not going to be a manned facility. We'll probably have somebody there a few times a week, depending upon demands, maybe 3 times a week during the summertime when peak demands are up. There'll be one truck that comes in. We will get some deliveries from time to time, but we have the loading dock for that in the facility there. So the generator will run once a month to test it, usually during normal business hours, during the middle of the week. And generators now are pretty quiet. When they do run, it'll be indoors.
What's the fuel for the generator?
I believe, we haven't gotten to that detail yet. I believe it's natural
There's
gas.
natural gas
Yeah.
on the site, so most likely that would be the
Yeah.
logical approach to take with it.
We'd have to check with the gas company to make sure that there's the adequate capacity to run it and all that type of thing, but that would be the plan, is to have it natural gas.
But the gas and the propane generators, as Dave said, are much more quiet than
Yeah.
diesel type generators.
Yeah.
They're very good.
Do you generate a waste stream that has to be removed by truck?
So just like a home filtration system, the filters have to be backwashed from time to time to remove some of the iron and manganese that's collected on the media. That's going to be stored in a tank below the facility that we can recycle. So we're going to be water efficient with the process. There will be a waste stream, but it will be minimal, and it will go to the sewer system. But it'll all be naturally occurring iron and manganese typically in that waste stream.
You already do this for well number 1, isn't that
Yeah,
correct?
yep. A lot of the chemicals that we're going to be using in this facility are stored at well 1 right now. What we're doing here is taking all the wells together, putting them into one facility and allowing those to be treated all at once.
Are you doing this because you want to make your product better for the consumer, or because the state is mandating?
No, we're making it better for the consumer. The system has been, prior to our ownership, the system had been plagued with iron and manganese complaints, a lot of brown and black water complaints. A lot of that is precipitated iron and manganese that can be masked at the source but can't be removed yet without filtration. So we're making this upgrade so we can actually remove that from the water and not continue to have that legacy issue.
I think it's also important to know, it's not just for Heritage Village, it's the town system also.
It's for the town system.
really?
Public system.
Oh,
Anything along Main Street that gets public water is.
go
part of the
through
Right.
there.
system. So it's a town-wide improvement.
Oh, yeah, wow, I didn't know that, that's good.
You should also have in your record a letter that came from Pamela Price, who is the board president for the homeowners association for the courtyard. The principals of Heritage and the Connecticut Water Company, Dave and Mark Broussard, met with representatives of the board and explained what was happening, because they're the next door neighbors to this. And we wanted to make sure that they understood what was going in. It was a very positive meeting, and what's important about that letter is that at the very end, they end up concluding that the design and the traffic pattern and the staff coming and going and the potential noise and all of the lighting and all those seemed to be well worked out, and landscaping. And they ended up saying that the water treatment facility will be passive and will be a welcome neighbor to the unit condominium community. And we thank that board for coming and meeting with us and talking about that. And they authorized us to provide this letter to you, so you could see that. And then,
Would you like us to read it into the record?
I'm sorry?
Would you like us to read it into the record?
You can read I think everybody has it, so if it's in your record, that's fine. The last paragraph is the positive recommendation. The other thing that should be in your record, and I assume you will read, is you have a planning commission
Yes.
positive referral that came from their October meeting. And so we would like to make sure that's read into the record,
Okay.
if you would do that.
Do you want me to read that in? October 20, 2021 to Southbury Zoning Commission from Southbury Planning Commission. RE 8-3A, parentheses B, referral of PDD number 17, revision to general plan and text, Heritage Center LLC, 466 Heritage Road, new drinking water treatment building, amendment number 17. The applicant is requesting approval for the text amendment for PDD number 17 regarding the construction of a new drinking water treatment building. Pursuant to section 12, plan development of the zoning regulations, the Planning Commission has considered the text amendment to allow a new 2,700 square foot drinking water treatment building at this location. The addition of this building will not exceed the allowable 50% ground cover, so it will comply with PDD regulation. The applicant would provide a permanent easement to Connecticut Water for this new facility. It will be located behind Heritage Hotel, and the architecture will be consistent with that of other buildings of the PDD number 17. The Planning Commission supports the rewording of the PDD regulation for the construction of the 2,700 square foot building as a drinking water treatment facility. Additionally, the proposed text amendment is in keeping with the Plan of Conservation and Development. Therefore, at the meeting on October 19, 2021, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to provide a positive referral to the Zoning Commission regarding the text amendment for PDD number 17. The text amendment is supported with the following recommendations. Number 1, approval was granted for the amendments to the PBD regulation allowing an additional water treatment building. Number 2, upon final approval, the easement deed shall be submitted to the town clerk for recording. Number 3, 4 sets of final plans will be submitted for signature to the chairman of the Zoning Commission. Richard Tierdo, Planning Commission Chairman, submitted the letter.
Thank you. Ty, all T's crossed and I's dotted?
Yeah, I mean, it's low impact, it doesn't exceed the allowable coverage, screened sufficiently, it's, less impact than other possible uses in the area, it serves the community. There's not really much more to say, it seems.
What's
Okay.
the timing? Oh, I'm sorry.
So attached to your, I think attached to yours is.
Dave, your time,
Hold on a minute, Gary had a question.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, yeah.
I just wondered what your timing was for this building.
Yes,
Identify yourself, so.
Yeah, Dave Connors again with Connecticut Water Company. We're looking at designing this year for construction probably by the end of 2023 at the earliest, I would say.
Okay. So about a year out,
Year or two out, yeah,
okay.
at least, yeah.
All right, Ty, part of your analysis, you have an attached zoning department,
Oh, yeah,
and there's one building department.
yeah, so
Had a
I
question on
checked
the flood
with
zone?
Mark Cody on that, and, let me find his response. He was concerned about the flood, if I can find it. Okay, so he said that, so basically he made a comment on his sign off that the, flood zone designation does not appear to match the FEMA map. So initially, when Gail had come in to review the plan, I did touch base with Mark on it, and he had no concerns with the flood zone. He said during the building process, the fence possibly would need extra tie downs or something like that, but he didn't really have any concerns. So when the final review came through and he made that no, I did reach out to him again, and his response was that that's something he looks at on every application. There's nothing the commission needs to do other than their normal review. He said, I'm sure Mark will address the issue. I don't expect it will change what is before your board. So that was his response
I'll
to
talk
my
to Mark and
inquiry.
we'll check this, but this, I believe, is the current floodplain, this dug solid line that my finger's going through right now. The fence is actually not in the floodplain line. There might have been a little bit of confusion. This was a 50-foot setback line, the dash line, which does come close to the fence line.
Yeah.
So I'll follow up with Mark. on
Yeah,
that
initially,
problem.
we had that discussion about it being close to the fence line and
Yeah.
that, so I'm not sure what Mark was looking at, but
Where-
at the
where
end
did
of the day, he said that it's not something the commission should be concerned
Just
about.
a question, where'd you get the line from?
They were pulled from the original approved drawings, so I don't believe any FEMA changes have happened to the floodplain since then. I know there was a change prior to the approval of PDD 17, and that change was picked up and established.
There was a flood map change? There was a map change?
I believe there was a floodplain line change, yes. Yeah. I'd have to go
Well,
back, it's
Mark-
quite a few years from now.
Yeah, work with Mark on that.
Yeah, I'll be happy to call Mark tomorrow about that.
All right.
Are we talking about a wooden fence?
I think you're talking about a decorative
Yeah.
aluminum.
Right now, it's gonna be the preliminary plan is it's gonna be an architectural aluminum fence.
Like white?
Yeah, or whatever,
Yeah.
you know, whatever fits in with the surroundings. We're flexible on what the
Okay.
fence can be.
All right.
Just one point, this application is both for a text amendment, and in that text, it sets out the general plan updates. So there are general plan updates that also are part of this what we need to have voted on. It includes, and they are those that are set out in the text amendment, so they're clearly set out in there. So we're looking for both the detailed plan approval, the text amendment, and the related general plans that are referenced in the text amendment as part of the approval. And the only other comment that I have is I'm requesting that this commission vote to, if you're going to vote on this tonight, to do a vote among yourselves after you close the hearing, to put this onto your business meeting for discussion and vote so that it shows up for freedom of information purposes.
Oh,
Ty,
Yes,
you all set?
as
You have
from,
no issues?
I
plans,
haven't-
Text amendment, anything?
no, the related general plans in the text amendment, as we read through the resolution, I just want to make sure that that part is clear in this, because the way it was written was very specific to this amendment. So Gail, point out if you find you can make an adjustment.
Yeah, I mean, I think it can just say in the related general plans, and
That's what I
those
heard,
plans
yeah.
are set out in the
Yeah.
text amendment specifically.
Right.
All right, well, before we get to that, public hearing, so we have to open it up to the public. Anybody here? Please speak in favor, against, any kind of commentary? Somebody, please. We're going through 2 public hearings too quickly.
I know, this is really kind of scary, isn't it?
All right, since I hear none, do I hear a motion to, any other questions before you?
I'm sorry, what was your motion?
Any other question? Nothing
Oh,
yet.
any other questions?
Before I ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
I move that we close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, it's closed. You have a resolution here?
We do.
Would you like to, give my guest?
Would you like that read in to the
Yes,
record?
please.
When I read this in, Ty, do I understand from what I heard you and Gary kind of back and forth on, if there was something,
At the final end, where it says, detailed plan modification and associated text amendment, I would suggest just change that to associated and related text amendment scale. Does that sound right to you?
General plans.
Or general plans? Text
is
amendment.
that the last whereas you're talking about here?
Yeah, so it says associated, being that it's associated to this project itself, but she actually made some other changes within the text that aren't associated to this project.
So when I get to that point, just read in what you want there. That last whereas is what I'm hearing you say. Okay, we good?
Yeah, it's a little tricky.
Okay.
Do you have an extra copy of it?
Yes, I would love your help on it, so
Thank you very much.
take a look and
Thank you
tell
very
me what
much.
you think.
Do you want this read in?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Southbury Zoning Commission, Town of Southbury, Resolution PDD number 17, Heritage Center, modification of detailed plans and text amendment, water treatment facility amendment number 17, November 10, 2021. Whereas, on October 7, 2021, the Zoning Commission received an application from Gail McTaggart of Secor, Cassidy, and McPartland, PC applicant for Heritage Center LLC owner, seeking to modify the detailed plans and a text amendment for PDD number 17, located at 466 Heritage Road. Whereas the applicant proposes 2,700 square foot drinking water treatment facility to serve Connecticut Water Company on parcel 2/E affecting portion of lot 1 at 466 Heritage Road located behind Heritage Hotel. Whereas the Zoning Commission has reviewed and considered all the oral testimony and documents presented at the above meeting. Whereas the overall increase in ground coverage would be in compliance with PDD regulation requirements not to exceed 50%. Whereas the architecture will be consistent with that of other buildings in PDD number 17. Whereas a permanent easement of Connecticut Water for the facility shall be granted. Whereas the detailed plans provide for fencing and adequate screening. Whereas lighting and signage shall be consistent with sections 10 and 11 of the zoning regulations. Whereas the proposed is in keeping with the accessory uses customary with the to the uses in general pertaining to Plan Development District number 17. Whereas the Plan Commission was sent a referral from the Zoning Commission on October 14, 2021 regarding this application with the proposed amendments. Whereas the Planning Commission reviewed all submitted documents and heard oral testimony from the applicant. Whereas the Planning Commission found the water treatment facility in keeping with the overall PDD and the plan of conservation and development. Whereas at the regularly held meeting, October 19, 2021, the Planning Commission voted to send the Zoning Commission a positive referral for the proposed modification of detailed plans and text amendment. Whereas the Planning Commission replied to the Zoning Commission with a memo dated October 20, 2021, stating that the water treatment facility complied with the plan of conservation and development. Whereas the zoning commission finds the proposed modification of detailed plans and text amendment to construct a water treatment facility is outlined in this resolution as being consistent and in keeping with overall plan for PDD number 17, Heritage Center, Southbury zoning regulations and as submitted. And is this Ty where you want to add a statement?
Right, so, yeah, now it therefore be resolved that the zoning commission voted to approve the detailed plan modifications associated and related general plans text amendment for PDD 17 as more fully detailed in the application.
The text amendment and modifications to the detailed plans are approved subject to the following administrative requirement. Submission of 4 sets of the revised PDD regulations. 4 sets of the PDD number 17 detailed site plan shall be submitted for a signature of the chairman of the zoning commission. Adopted at a regular meeting of Southbury Zoning Commission on November 10, 2021, to be signed by the zoning chairman, which is Gary Giroux.
Okay, you okay with this resolution?
With that addition
Right.
put into it.
Right. You want to move forward? Oh, okay. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
I'll second it.
No further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You're very welcome.
All right. Other business, zoning enforcement officer's report. Any, quick notes, Ty?
Yeah, I have a couple questions, if you don't mind, or notes, I guess. I wanted to ask about flags.
About what?
Flags.
Flags, not, like, as far as signage goes, it seems to comply if the size is accurate with the temporary signage regulations. There's a particular gun flag that's on one of the roads in front of and it's becoming an issue. And I need to reach out to them because they don't have a permit for a temporary sign, so obviously I need to do that, but I wanted to get your opinion on flags in general, not the content of that particular flag. I just wanted to understand, because from what I saw from other enforcement, it seems as if it was determined that Southbury did not want flags. However, I can't find it in the regulations specifically, and if I can bend that temporary sign permit to include flags if read the way that I interpret it. So I kind of wanted your opinion, especially due to the sensitive nature of the particular flag at hand.
You're talking about a flag, sort of like a banner?
Like one of those
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you know, if the size is right and it, it
I
doesn't.
thought we had discussed that and decided that we were not gonna allow those, but I don't know if it ever got written in.
It had a
Let's
different
not-
name, that wasn't a flag, it was something.
What did we call those?
Called. I don't
Well, let's not
remember.
get confused.
Or
with
pennant or-
existing zoning regulations and the drafts that we still have hanging out there.
Yeah.
Which is probably where that is.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we don't allow banners or
Banners, that was,
fluttering
that wasn't it
signs or
either, David?
something.
Right,
That's where I got
exactly.
confused about blade flags, because we definitely wanted to eliminate the blade that is like
That's what
a
I'm-
feather.
That's what
Right.
I'm talking about, but if it's within the size of the temporary signage, then I can't see, it doesn't specifically say you're not allowing those blades.
So it's, the shape is a different issue than the size. what
Right, I
I'm
mean,
hearing
if
you
you're,
say.
within that 6
Yeah.
feet and, you have a whole very specific size, if that falls in there, it doesn't say that you can't do that. You know, the banners, yes, you call that out in the regulations. Any kind of flashing digital signs, you call that out in the regulations. It's not specifically.
The existing regulations?
Yeah, in the existing regulations, yep. So, like I said, I'm reaching out one way or the other, either for them to get a permit or to tell them, no, this isn't allowed, but I just wanna make sure that I'm moving in the right direction, especially due to the content. And this has nothing to do with the content, but.
Right.
Have people complain about it
Mhm.
because of the content?
Probably. However, I have to say, the sign complaints are through the roof right now. I don't know if it's the election has, because they were
Although I have to say, the
everywhere.
election signs
They
came
went
down
down
pretty quickly.
Immediately.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I don't know if that just triggered people's sensitivities, and now there's the book sale sign, which are all nonprofit, Christmas, festivals and stuff, but calls every single day about signs. I'm picking them up all over the place, working with retailers who are very upset, because they feel like you're trying to, take away their, so I'm trying to get them to just come into compliance and get their
Right.
permits and do all of that. So anyways, I just wanted to know your thoughts on the flags signs.
Gary, is your recollection, because what you said sort of triggered in my mind, that we had discussed some of this, but we haven't completed that, we haven't followed through and put them into regulation? Is that what's going on?
Well, the new sign regulation's still a draft.
Right,
We haven't
exactly,
even gone to public hearing yet.
exactly. And I
So,
suspect, though, that's where the
I is
discussion
still
happened.
stuck on these regulations.
What we have
as
in,
written.
and I don't think that's in the regulation as it now exists.
Right, it's not.
The location involved here, would you refresh me? I read it, but.
The location for this particular sign
Yeah.
that I'm talking about it's Southford Road going toward Oxford.
Okay, it's,
There's a plaza over there that has,
Is that like where the bank is and stuff and that?
there's a Chinese food
It's on the other side where the
place.
pizza parlor and the dance studio and stuff
I
is.
think there might be a dance studio
Yeah,
there.
If you're headed towards Oxford, it's on the left.
Yeah, absolutely, like right past the lodge,
Right.
it's that plaza across from Leisure Time, is that what it is?
Which was a problem in the past, by the way, was leisure.
Yeah.
and if he's allowed to have the sign now and the new regulations would not allow the sign, is
No, the
it-
permit's only for 1 year, so, and it only allows you to display it for 30 days per quarter, so, if you were to come with new regulations once this permit expires, then that's fine.
What do you think?
I don't know how you can, if it's not, I don't know how you can stop it.
Okay.
Right. I'm going,
We have to.
Yeah,
Since the size and so forth is compliant.
all this compliant,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
like setback from the road is all correct.
Yeah.
but
Okay.
it's not a moving sign.
No.
It's a waving sign.
Yeah, exactly. It moves when the wind moves.
Today it moved. Yesterday it was quiet out. It wasn't
Yeah.
moving too much.
I have another scenario that I just wanted to bring to your attention about pods. There's been a complaint about a pod that's been on a property for a storage pod, a temporary storage pod. When people are moving and stuff, it's been on a property for several months. There's complaints from the neighbors, and this is a very savvy owner who I sent a letter, I called, I had a discussion, said it was gonna move it, he didn't end up moving it, sent a letter, and he knows that it doesn't call it out in the regulations. He asked me to identify the exact regulation that prohibited that, and I really can't. I'd like to see a definition of temporary. The way I kind of rationalized it was that the temporary signs are 30 days, so I gave them 30 days, but it really doesn't call out pods in particular. Or a definition definition of temporary.
I see
Because,
these things all over.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've seen a lot of them.
And
Yeah.
I also see people with dumpsters for 3 or 4 or 5 months in their driveway.
yeah, I mean, it's hard
I don't know how
to,
you can enforce
it's
that.
hard to, if there was a definition saying temporary means 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, then that would be, you know, because
Yeah.
it's not a permanent structure, so they don't need a permit.
But it's tricky, because if it's a big construction project, it's conceivable that dumpsters are there,
Yeah,
you know, for a longer period of time. That's a tough one.
and then if you said for 30 days, you took it out of his driveway, drove around the block.
And came
in,
back.
another 30,
Right,
it's kinda-
yeah, I mean, other towns have regulations specifically regarding the pods themselves.
What do they have?
I'd have to look into that a little bit more. I was doing like research, and I know even Roxbury has something, so, I can let you know, as we're revising. This is something I wanted to call to your attention because it's difficult to enforce.
Does pod sort of fall under trailer? You know,
No,
I mean, I'm not sure what you call it, you know what I mean? It's not really a dumpster, because it's
Right.
totally
Right,
enclosed.
it's just
Yeah.
a temporary storage.
Yeah, it's temporary
unit.
storage, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Like, what if somebody had a big camper parked in their driveway for year-round?
There's actually.
Oh, don't even go there
an
with that.
ordinance That's handled by the clerk's office, oddly enough, by ordinance, by town ordinance. She gives out permits for those, so, because again, it's not really a permanent structure, so the
Yeah.
town controls that in a different way. Anyways, one last thing, Riverview Cinemas, had a remaining bond for $6,000, that previously Chris McGinnis had released part of the bond, but held some for the landscaping that wasn't quite healthy, and, the trash receptacles, the front gates needed to be better screened. So anyways, the owner had contacted me, reminded us, the land use office, that we still were holding $6,000. I went out and, inspected the site, and everything is perfect. So I wanted to ask if you'd like to make a motion to recommend that the Board of Selectmen release that bond.
Have no problem. All right, do I hear a motion to?
Release the money?
Extinguish the bond at, Riverview Cinemas?
I'll make a motion that we release bond.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I actually think they've done a pretty good job with the landscaping there.
It looks good, and actually, they're very, responsive with regard to signs and stuff like that. You know, if I call, they take care of everything.
Good neighbor.
Yeah, they really are.
That it?
That's it
Out
for
of
me.
your big package.
That's fine, we can go through it.
So for the next meeting, you think you'll have time to find out all the towns who will?
Oh, I absolutely will, yep. And at the next meeting, there'll be, on the agenda, somebody coming about the RFP. Brian Miller will be meeting with you. We're going to distribute his proposal, within the next couple weeks for you guys to take a look at, and then he'll be available for you to talk to, and hopefully,
This is that, rewriting all the.
the zoning regulations.
regulations.
So, yeah, at that time, Jessica will be at this meeting, he will be here as well, and, you can make a decision whether you want to.
Do we do that with a subcommittee, the rewriting? I know we've looked at other regulations, and we've sort of spun off a group that would meet.
Well, we can, we are actually hiring a professional
Right.
to write it, so.
So they're gonna actually write it and present it to us?
No.
No, yes.
Well,
Oh.
they're gonna, with your input,
Yeah,
obviously,
it's
they're
gonna be a
not.
back and forth, so,
Right.
Right.
subcommittee,
We're it, right? How much more sub
Really?
can you get? I got it, okay.
so I don't
At
see
the next
need.
meeting, you just have to decide whether or not you want to retain
Move forward
his
with this person.
services.
The way it would, wasn't here last meeting, so was this discussed last meeting?
Not in great, detail.
We went
no.
out to RFP and we got 5 responses.
Yeah, I
And it
believe.
Did you
boiled
really?
down to only one is really,
Worth
by
doing?
the book. Followed all the procedures, answered all the questions, submitted all the material that they were supposed to. Unfortunately.
And within the budget, that,
What's that?
and within the budget, that's,
Within the budget
Yeah.
that's a separate issue.
yeah,
Um,
But I guess
So
if
we're
you
just
get
stuck with
somebody
one.
that, to rewrite regulations that can't follow an RFP to completely supply you a package, that would be.
That's a good step in the right direction,
Right,
right?
right.
They at least follow the rules to fill out the application.
yeah. I mean, I have his right here, it's quite the,
Whoa, that's their
Yeah.
proposal?
that's the proposal.
Where's the
so,
company out of?
Is it Wallingford?
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Looks
So-
like they've been doing this for a while. They've got it down if there's a packet that thick.
Yeah, so,
Actually, all 5 had a halfway decent submittal.
Did they?
yeah,
There were
this,
just little glitches in each one. This is the only one that didn't have any.
Hmm.
But
yeah, so, I mean, yeah, meet them and see if you
I mean-
like to, get to see if you,
That's good.
somebody you wanna work with.
if you looked at them, they're all qualified. They all have done this in other towns. There's even one package that came in from Ohio,
Really?
but they also had done quite a few towns in Connecticut.
Interesting.
Same type of thing. So I mean,
Yeah.
Have you contacted any of the towns you work for?
Yes,
And they,
yep,
worked well with them?
yep,
Any of the towns around here that you know?
yep. I have a list that I contact, I don't have it on me,
Yeah.
but if you want me to supply, I can, when we send this out, I'll send who I contacted and what their response was, so you have a feel for that.
You're
if
the
you'd
one
like.
that's gotta live with them, so.
Yeah, no, we did definitely, he gave some references, but in addition to his references, we also contacted just towns that we saw that he worked with, that he didn't give for references, and he's also worked with, on the other end, working with attorneys to try to get things through towns, and on both sides, like affordable housing plans or that
Oh,
kind of stuff.
interesting.
And,
So for our plan of conservation and development, he should be helpful with that too. I mean, at least his mindset
oh, yeah.
is right there.
Yeah,
That's good.
no, he'll definitely, yeah, so I got some attorneys gave some input, some land use offices gave some input, so it was kind of a well-rounded, both sides of the fence feel, you know, so.
all right. So that's next meeting. So.
Yep, the December meeting.
All right. Next item: election of officers.
Oh, geez. Now we do this?
I thought that was in January.
I was gonna say, you can't do it now.
Yeah, they don't have the new,
You don't have
That's
any
what
new,
the Wetlands Commission wanted as well, so you have to do it before the start of your meeting in January, and then, I don't know if you have new members coming in.
Yeah.
I think actually I have that here.
yeah,
we do.
You do,
Right.
right?
You do?
There's one new member coming.
So,
Let's-
at that point.
I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
too many candidates.
All right. So what do? We elect officers tonight or not?
No, you can wait.
Wait till December.
I think we should wait until our new member's here,
Yeah,
just out of
That will be
courtesy.
December?
No, probably. When do they take office? In January?
that is the issue I'd like.
Don't,
I think it
So
should
it's-
be
I don't think they come in until January, do they?
Yeah, it's January first, or.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's Wendy Bernard
Yep.
Yeah.
is the new member.
So we're gonna wait till January to elect?
I think out of
For some reason, I
courtesy,
always
we
thought it was
should.
January. I don't know why.
What,
I think it has to be before the meeting, like you can you open the
Oh,
meeting, but
okay,
then
yeah,
have
yeah,
it
I
happen, you
remember
can't
doing
have the
that.
meeting in
Until you
before you
have
start
it.
your
Yeah.
business in January, or you can do it in December, or you can do it in November if you want, but it's your preference. It has to be before the first meeting in January, you need to have your officers in place.
We might as well.
it would seem to me out of courtesy, we should do it, before we formally open the January meeting so that the new member's here. I just think that's a polite
Yep.
thing to do.
Now, she's taking Dick's spot on the board, or I know also.
regular member.
Correct, it's not the alternate, it's a regular, I believe, I saw when I looked at the, who came into what commissions.
Yeah,
Does anyone know her? I don't know her.
it sounds
All right, we'll wait.
interesting how this happens, but yeah, definitely, it's a regular member.
What is this
And
packet, by the way, that I've got here that's
Stays
so
on
big?
as an alternate.
What is all this? Was this what Gail presented to us?
Yeah,
Okay, wow.
dropped off copies.
I know.
Big size.
Yeah, it's
In
big.
case you'd like to take it home and paper your wall.
All right,
I keep telling my husband he can't keep so much paper. If I come home with this, he's gonna say, what are you talking about?
let's, meeting schedule for 2022.
Yes,
Second Wednesday of the month,
correct.
unless a Wednesday starts on the 1st, then it's the third Wednesday, and nothing in August. You okay with that?
That's what
Hear a
we've done
motion to approve the
traditionally.
schedule? There a second?
I'll second it.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. What else we have? Minutes. Last month's minutes.
I reviewed last month's minutes. I move we
I
accept
wasn't
them.
here, wait,
Oh, you
there
didn't
is-
read them?
There is a correction, I believe.
Oh, there was a correction?
Correct.
Ooh, I
read
missed it.
something. You're wrong. Where's that read? Oh, under new business, item 2. First paragraph, Attorney Gail McTaggart, representing Regency Centers. Describe the application by Heritage Center,
Okay.
right? That's not right.
That's not right, no,
Okay.
no, so just representing Heritage.
That's it.
You don't skim, you read in detail.
Yeah,
For some reason, I usually skim, but that just caught my eye. Well, it caught my eye because I wanted to read, I wasn't here last month, sorry.
So the revision was it wasn't Heritage Center? Is that what you're saying?
She represents Heritage Center,
Right.
not Regency.
not Regency.
Gotcha. Okey doke.
All right, any other correspondence? All right, this is, a memo to us from the Planning Commission regarding Riverview Center, PDD number 20. The Planning Commission heard a special exception application for a commercial childcare center at 690 Main Street South in the lower level pursuant to the zoning regulations Schedule A, Section B-11. Childcare center would encompass 8,806 square feet and consist of 10 children rooms, aftercare room, gym, and exterior play area. There will be approximately 20 employees. The proposed number of children will be 98. This location is supplied with public water. There will not be any toxic or hazardous materials generated from the use. 11 parking spaces will be converted into an outdoor play area for children. This application met all the requirements and was approved at the October 19, 2021, with the conditions that bollards be installed around the outdoor play area for safety reasons. Since this is a planned development district, and thus the purview of the zoning commission is memos for informational purposes only.
Had that gone before planning?
This
Does
this
that-
came from.
That came from planning.
Because it's an approved use.
Right,
the building.
and it wasn't, I didn't know that was an approved use. That's interesting.
It's approved by, we approved the use.
So it's the lower level? You go around the back to get to it?
Other than the bollard, I mean, somebody else would worry about the fencing area, you know, about the height of the fence, or like in the outside play area, somebody else, like, who would take care of that planning or building?
Well, the building code, I would imagine also there's probably an inspection.
There is.
With regard to the safety of children.
It'll be
by the
licensed
state,
too. They have to
yeah,
meet
the
We don't have to
state,
get involved in that part, right?
No, there's
they have to
plenty of
meet,
people
state
who are-
licensing for
yeah.
daycare. Now, how many kids? 98?
98.
Wow, that's a big
That's big.
facility.
Yeah, it is.
Are they starting with 6-month-old, does it say? I suspect if it's daycare too, they're probably 6-month-old through, maybe up through kindergarten. That's a lot of kids.
It's a lot.
Is that all Southbury kids then?
There's no limitation.
Sometimes what you find is somebody who works in Southbury, but they live someplace else, but they bring their kids so they can have them nearby.
Yeah.
So it could be Newtown, whatever.
Hope they have better luck at the Parcel, like.
I know, it's a tough one.
Alright. This is a package from Open Community Alliance. It was sent to First Selectman Jeff Manville, Chairman Richard Tierdo, Planning Commission, and myself for the Zoning Commission. It's a long letter. And a big report. But I guess it has to do with zoning for equity. And identifying planning and zoning barriers to affordable housing. Which we all know it's an upcoming issue that we're gonna have to deal with.
You
That's
can send
part
a
of the
copy of that if you want to the Strategic Plan Commission, because they're doing a lot of work on affordable housing right now. That might be useful information for them. Let them do the research.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, if you see the towns that are identified that they studied, they're all towns that their POCD has come up this year. So there was a particular strategy in sending that
Yeah.
out. So it's a lot of the stuff that they've identified is stuff that's already being talked about in doing the new POCD, so the timing.
And it's really to show intent for affordable housing.
Yeah, exactly, so the timing
Maybe somewhere in the
kinda
next 100 years
comes
election.
together on it, and I'm sure these are things that they're thinking about when they're
Yeah.
doing it already, so.
I'm not gonna read it.
Wait a minute, I thought you said you read everything, right down to the letter.
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, this will be an issue we're gonna be tackling soon.
Can we get a copy of that, Gary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scan it.
Take that trouble sleeping on that.
There you go. Let's do it.
Don't put you to sleep. All right, yeah, I guess we'll send a copy out to everybody.
And I send a copy to the Strategic Plan Commission, because I know they have a whole group of people that are working on affordable housing.
It's kinda like you say, it's coming.
It's coming.
Be ready.
We're gonna have to react to
At
it,
least good idea.
whether it's,
Did you see the
forced
affordable
on us
housing
or
they
we
built in Oxford?
voluntarily do something about it.
I'm talking about the ones that are like permanent trailers. There's this whole
Yeah.
little area that they put together.
That's down by the brewery, by the.
Oh, yeah, it is. Isn't that a strange place?
Yeah, I
Whoa.
was over there once, I'm like,
I know, I did the same thing.
you know,
Have you seen that, Tia?
No,
you know where the Black Hawk Brewery is?
yeah.
In Oxford?
Drove by it.
Just
On
look to
left-hand
the other side of the street.
brewery's on the right-hand side, if you're going down the street.
Okay,
You can't miss it.
Yeah.
really? I
Yeah.
haven't been down that way in a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
Huh.
very,
Pretty substantial.
Wow.
yeah, and, well, very substantially flimsy.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
It's like trailers without wheels. I mean,
Well,
it's
the
a strange
pods.
place.
Yeah,
This could happen.
yeah.
All right. No bills, we don't ever have any bills.
Thank goodness.
Any other business that may come before the commission?
Nope.
I guess not. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.